In 2022, a study by the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, MIT, sent shockwaves around the world. The study predicted that society, as we know it, could collapse by 2040. At first, this might sound like the plot of a dystopian movie. But according to some of the brightest minds in the world, it might not be fiction. MIT's research is based on complex computer models that simulate how modern society functions, and the results are both shocking and concerning. MIT didn't just throw out this prediction without cause. The researchers looked at factors like environmental sustainability, economic stability, and social dynamics. Using advanced technology, they simulated the future of human society based on these factors. What they found was startling. The way we live today is pushing the planet and its resources to their limits. And if we continue down this path, things might start falling apart in just 15 years. To understand this prediction, we need to look at the 5 main factors MIT identified as the biggest threats to our future: resource depletion, environmental damage, economic instability, population growth, and the rapid development of technology. Each of these areas is interconnected, creating a fragile system that could easily collapse if even one piece fails. Resource depletion is one of the most pressing concerns. Humans have been consuming natural resources, like water, fossil fuels, and minerals, at an unsustainable rate for decades. The Earth is simply not able to keep up with the demand. Water scarcity, for instance, is already affecting millions of people worldwide. Fossil fuel depletion will lead to energy shortages, and without renewable alternatives, this could cause major disruptions in energy access. As these resources continue to dwindle, the social and economic consequences will be severe. Then there's environmental damage, which is happening at an alarming rate. Climate change is a major driver of this damage, but it's not the only factor. Deforestation, pollution, and the loss of biodiversity are also taking a toll on the planet. Extreme weather events, such as floods, droughts, and heat waves, are becoming more frequent and intense. These changes are not just affecting the environment. They are directly impacting people's lives, leading to food shortages, migration, and increased social unrest. If the environment continues to degrade, the results will be catastrophic. Economic instability is another major factor in MIT's prediction. The global economy is based on a delicate balance of production, trade, and consumption. However, this balance is under threat from several directions. The wealth gap between rich and poor is growing, and this economic inequality could lead to widespread social unrest. The collapse of major industries, such as the fossil fuel industry, will further shake the global economy. Financial crises, like the 2008 crash, are becoming more frequent, and the longer they go unchecked, the more likely a global economic collapse becomes. Population growth is putting extra strain on resources. The world's population is expected to reach nearly 10 billion by 2050, and this massive increase will put even more pressure on food, water, and energy supplies. More people means more demand for housing, transportation, and healthcare, further stretching the planet's resources. If we don't manage this growth carefully, it will exacerbate other problems like poverty, inequality, and environmental destruction. Lastly, technology is advancing faster than society can adapt. While technological innovation can be a powerful force for good, it also brings new risks. Artificial intelligence, automation, and biotechnology could revolutionize industries, but they also pose threats to job security, privacy, and ethics. The rapid pace of technological development could outpace the ability of governments and institutions to regulate and control these changes, leading to unintended consequences. When we put all of these factors together, it's clear why MIT's study is so alarming. The future of society depends on addressing these issues head-on. If we don't take immediate action to reduce resource consumption, protect the environment, and ensure economic stability, MIT's prediction could become a reality. For many, the idea of society collapsing feels like something far in the future. But the researchers at MIT suggest that we may only have a short window of time to make the necessary changes. The good news is that it's not too late. By changing the way we use resources, improving technology, and fostering social equality, society might be able to avoid the collapse predicted for 2040. But will we act in time? Only the future will tell. What makes MIT's prediction even more disturbing is the fact that it's not just one isolated problem. but a combination of factors that together create a perfect storm. To understand the looming collapse, it's important to break down the 5 key factors identified by the researchers: resource depletion, environmental destruction, economic instability, population growth, and technological advancement. Each of these elements plays a crucial role in pushing our society closer to the edge, and when combined, they form a deeply interconnected web of challenges that may soon be too much for our current systems to handle. Let's start with resource depletion, which is perhaps the most straightforward. For centuries, humans have been relying heavily on the Earth's resources: water, fossil fuels, metals, and other materials to fuel our cities, industries, and economies. But this consumption is unsustainable. We're taking more than the planet can replenish. Oil reserves are running dry, the soil is eroding, and clean water is becoming increasingly scarce. With resources stretched thin, countries will soon find themselves fighting over what little is left, creating instability on a global scale. Experts warn that by 2040, we could be facing a severe shortage of vital resources, such as fresh water, energy, and arable land, resources that form the foundation of civilization itself. Then, there's environmental destruction, a factor that is already affecting billions of people worldwide. The world's ecosystems are on the brink of collapse, and climate change is only making things worse. Rising temperatures, unpredictable weather patterns, and natural disasters are causing crops to fail, displacing entire communities, and increasing the frequency of catastrophic events like floods and wildfires. The loss of biodiversity, coupled with widespread deforestation, is weakening the planet's ability to regenerate itself. As natural habitats are destroyed, not only are species disappearing, but so are the resources humans rely on, such as food, water, and clean air. This environmental decline is already threatening economies, and in the coming decades, it could lead to irreversible damage to the very ecosystems we depend on. Economic instability is a third major factor contributing to the collapse. In recent years, the global economy has become increasingly fragile, driven by debt, inequality, and unchecked capitalism. As the rich get richer and the poor get poorer, social tension is rising. Countries are becoming more divided, and trust in governments and institutions is eroding. The increasing automation of jobs, coupled with the rise of artificial intelligence, is eliminating traditional jobs at a rapid pace, leading to mass unemployment and greater inequality. The current economic systems are simply not built to handle these pressures. A financial crash is becoming more likely, and if it happens, it could send shockwaves across the globe, plunging millions into poverty and instability. Then comes population growth, which is a ticking time bomb. With nearly 8 billion people already on the planet and the population expected to surge to 10 billion by 2050, the strain on resources will only intensify. The need for food, shelter, and energy will continue to grow, putting even more pressure on the environment and exacerbating existing problems. More people also mean more competition for jobs, more strain on healthcare systems, and more political instability. The current infrastructure isn't designed to accommodate such rapid growth, and without significant changes, the resulting chaos could push societies over the edge. Finally, there's the advance of technology, which, while offering incredible potential, also poses new risks. While technology has improved our lives in countless ways, it also has a dark side. The rapid rise of artificial intelligence, robotics, and biotechnology is already having a profound impact on industries and society as a whole. Automation threatens to take away millions of jobs, leaving entire populations unemployed and struggling to survive. Moreover, the constant innovation in fields like genetics and artificial intelligence brings with it ethical concerns and unintended consequences. As technology evolves faster than societies can adapt, the gap between progress and regulation widens, leaving us vulnerable to the unknown risks of unregulated tech. Each of these factors, resource depletion, environmental collapse, economic instability, population growth, and rapid technological advancement, acts like a pressure point on society's fragile structure. Alone, they are problems that are difficult to ignore. But when combined, they create a ticking clock, one that could lead to the unraveling of our social fabric by 2040. The researchers at MIT suggest that these challenges will soon reach a tipping point, where a breakdown in one area could trigger a domino effect, causing widespread failure across all systems. And while this may sound like a nightmare scenario, the truth is, we are already seeing signs of these problems emerging in real time. What makes this so urgent is that there's still time to make changes. If we act quickly to reduce our consumption, protect the environment, address economic inequality, and ensure the responsible use of technology, we might be able to steer clear of the collapse that MIT predicts. However, if we continue to ignore the warning signs, the future could look very different, one that none of us are prepared for. Imagine waking up one day to a world that no longer functions the way it used to. The grocery store shelves are empty, electricity is intermittent, and the internet goes down for days at a time. Your job might no longer exist, and the community around you is struggling to survive. While this might sound like something out of a post-apocalyptic movie, MIT's prediction is painting a future that could be very real by 2040 if current trends continue. The impact of society's collapse wouldn't just be about the disappearance of luxury items or the loss of convenience. It would shake the very core of daily life, affecting everything from our access to food and water to how we communicate and work. This would lead to a massive societal shift, one that many of us are not prepared for. Understanding what life could look like when these systems fail is key to grasping the severity of the MIT warning. Resource shortages would hit the hardest. Water, which many of us take for granted, could become a rare commodity in some parts of the world. Droughts, reduced rainfall, and overuse of freshwater sources would make it difficult to maintain current agricultural production, resulting in food shortages. Cities that once relied on vast networks of transportation for importing goods might find themselves isolated. The global supply chain, already fragile, would collapse under the pressure of these shortages. People would fight over basic resources, leading to political unrest and possibly violent conflict. Access to clean water and food could become a luxury few can afford, creating an entirely new class of the desperate and the privileged. Economic collapse would follow closely behind. The collapse of essential systems, like transportation, communication, and manufacturing, would cause job markets to evaporate. Automation, while initially a symbol of progress, would accelerate this problem, leaving millions of people without work. In a society where jobs are disappearing faster than they can be replaced, economic inequality would skyrocket. Wealth would concentrate even more heavily in the hands of the few, while the majority of the population struggles to get by. Governments would likely struggle to address widespread poverty, unemployment, and inequality, leading to frustration, anger, and social unrest. In some places, people would begin to question whether the systems in place are still worth salvaging, and revolutions could spark as a result of this economic imbalance. Social structures would begin to break down as well. Trust in governments, institutions, and even neighbors would erode. A growing sense of distrust could create rifts in communities, as people turned inward to protect their families and resources. Without functioning schools, hospitals, or public services, people would have to find alternative ways to survive. Some communities might form tight-knit, self-sustaining groups, while others might fall into chaos. The fabric of society, which has held together for centuries, would begin to unravel as more people turned against each other in a fight for survival. Healthcare would also undergo a major transformation, or, more accurately, a collapse. With resources running low and hospitals overrun, medical care would become increasingly scarce. Treatments for chronic conditions, surgeries, or emergency care could become a thing of the past for most people. Diseases, once easily controlled through modern medicine, could spread unchecked in areas where healthcare infrastructure has failed. Communities would be forced to rely on old-fashioned remedies and survival techniques, creating a new, dangerous level of inequality. The rich would be able to access the few remaining medical supplies, while the poor would be left vulnerable to sickness and death. Education, too, would face a major setback. With widespread instability and the breakdown of infrastructure, schools would close, and many children would be deprived of their right to education. Instead of learning in classrooms, children would be raised in a world of uncertainty, with limited access to knowledge. As the future of education becomes more uncertain, The next generation may face challenges their parents never imagined, growing up in a world where the pursuit of knowledge is no longer a priority but a luxury. Technology, which has so far been a powerful tool for advancement, could also become part of the problem. As the collapse of infrastructure unfolds, the internet, electricity, and communication systems would likely be severely disrupted. While some might still have access to a few functioning devices, most would be cut off from the global digital network. In this disconnected world, the once ubiquitous presence of social media, e-commerce, and online education would fade, leaving people to rely on face-to-face interaction and local networks. The loss of technology could initially feel like a relief, but it would also lead to a world where information is fragmented and communication becomes slow and unreliable. While all of these changes are drastic, it's important to note that they wouldn't happen overnight. The collapse would be gradual, and the early warning signs might already be visible today. Rising inequality, environmental degradation, and economic instability are issues that affect people around the world right now. In fact, some communities are already experiencing the very problems that MIT warns could become global in the next 2 decades. As we continue to ignore these issues, the world as we know it could begin to fall apart piece by piece. The real question, however, is whether we can change course before it's too late. MIT's study is a warning, not a certainty. With effort, innovation, and commitment, it's possible to prevent this grim future from becoming a reality. But the clock is ticking, and the time to act is now. As the prediction from MIT casts a shadow over our future, many people may wonder, is it too late to prevent this collapse? Can we actually change the course of events and avoid the catastrophic fate outlined in the study? The good news is that it's not too late yet. However, the window of opportunity is narrowing, and the steps we take in the next few years could determine whether we avert disaster or allow the collapse to unfold. The first key to preventing the societal breakdown predicted by MIT lies in changing our relationship with the planet. Resource depletion is one of the most critical threats we face, and it's no secret that our current consumption habits are unsustainable. But if humanity shifts toward more responsible resource management, the situation could be turned around. Sustainable agriculture, renewable energy, and circular economies, where products are reused, recycled, and repurposed, are all potential solutions. By moving away from the extraction-based economy and embracing sustainability, we could significantly reduce our environmental footprint and ensure that essential resources like clean water, food, and energy remain available for future generations. Technology, often seen as a threat in this context, could become part of the solution as well. While it's true that rapid technological advancements have led to social disruptions, technology also has the power to accelerate solutions. Innovations in clean energy, such as solar, wind, and geothermal, can replace our dependence on fossil fuels. Advances in artificial intelligence and automation can help optimize resource usage, reduce waste, and even transform industries to be more sustainable. However, it's crucial that we implement these technologies responsibly. The key will be ensuring that technology is used to enhance human well-being rather than exacerbate inequality or environmental damage. One of the most important areas for change is economic reform. The growing inequality between the rich and the poor is contributing to social unrest and instability, and without addressing this gap, it will only worsen. Universal Basic Income, UBI, progressive taxation, and job retraining programs for workers displaced by automation could help create a more equitable society. Shifting away from profit-driven capitalism and embracing more inclusive, socially responsible economic models would foster stability and social cohesion. More investment in public services, healthcare, and education would also ensure that people have access to the essentials they need to thrive, even in times of crisis. Global cooperation will also play a vital role in preventing collapse. The problems we face, climate change, resource depletion, and social inequality, are not confined to any one nation. They are global issues that require collaborative action across borders. Governments, corporations, and individuals must come together to find solutions that benefit all of humanity, not just a select few. This could involve global agreements to tackle climate change, implement fair trade practices, and promote peace and security. Countries must share knowledge and resources to help lift up those who are most vulnerable to the impacts of collapse. Another area that holds immense potential for change is education. To tackle the challenges ahead, we must equip the next generation with the knowledge and skills needed to solve complex global problems. This means rethinking how we educate young people. Rather than simply preparing them for the workforce, we should be teaching them how to think critically, adapt to change, and collaborate with others across cultures. A future workforce that is not just technically skilled, but also socially and environmentally conscious will be the key to navigating the challenges of the 21st century. But perhaps the most profound change we need to make is in how we view the future itself. Hope and action are powerful tools in the fight against collapse. If we accept MIT's prediction as inevitable, we may lose the drive to create a better world. However, if we view the future as something we can shape, we will be empowered to act. Whether through individual efforts or collective movements, every action we take today can have a lasting impact. Small changes, such as reducing waste, conserving energy, or supporting sustainable businesses, can ripple out and create a wave of change. The key takeaway from MIT's prediction is not despair, but awareness. We now know that society is at a crossroads, and the decisions we make today will determine whether we spiral into chaos or chart a new path towards sustainability and harmony. The good news is that humanity has faced seemingly insurmountable challenges before and come through stronger. We have the ability to adapt, innovate, and create a future that is not defined by collapse, but by cooperation and resilience. So, can we prevent the collapse MIT has predicted? The answer is yes, but only if we act now. The road ahead won't be easy, but it is still within our grasp to create a future where our planet and society can thrive, not just survive. The next few years will be crucial, and the changes we make today will determine the kind of world future generations inherit. Let's make sure it's a world worth inheriting.